Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Kimberly Cloud Show. I am your host, Kimberly Cloud. This evening, I have a very special guest for the show. Can you go ahead and announce to the world who you are and where you're calling from?
I certainly can. My name is Wayne Pratt. I'm calling from a town called Kingston, Ontario, Canada,
Oh,
on
wow.
a lake known for bass fishing.
So, how far from Ontario? Is that your state or your
Province.
town
I'm in
fish?
Canada.
Yeah,
I,
yeah. But is base fish is the fish that's your Canada fish is base fish,
no,
bass fish?
basically, bass is a
Sorry.
type of fish that's in our lake.
Okay.
That's all. It's like
Okay.
salmon or trout. Ours is bass.
Cool. Okay. And Kingston, Ontario, Canada. Okay. Can you tell me, let's just dig right into it. Can you tell me about your past leading up into your present?
I certainly can. One, I have a resume that is over 5 pounds. um, where several people told me how incredibly talented I was, but I had to find it somewhere else. So I knew failure and success fairly often and fairly early, and that I started to learn how to coach by needing coaching, if that makes any sense.
So tell me about a chance where you learned about coaching and then you decided to distribute coaching on your own.
Yes, I actually got a job for a CA firm, and my manager didn't like people. So he had me talk to the clients. So I dreamed with them and planned with them and asked them what they wanted to be. And they told me their story. And this now goes back 20 years, almost before coaching was even called coaching. But they found that they were telling me things they didn't even mean to tell me about how they could be more and do more and have more. And then I learned basically from the internet that this thing was a profession. So I checked into it.
Okay. And once you checked into this coaching, this was 20 years ago, right? This was like 20.
Coaching, the certification was 10 years ago, but
Hmm.
doing the coaching without knowing it was called coaching was 20. Yes.
Okay. And when you decided to do it, tell me your first person that you did it with and how you decided to narrate and navigate. I know you had to be scared because, did you tell them this was your first client? How did it work?
Well, that's actually interesting. To get a certification in coaching with the International Coaching Federation, you have to actually do coaching before you're qualified. So you just say, hey, I need your help. Would you spend an hour with me and I'll try to coach you? And because I need to get certified. Most people want to help you. So the first 40 clients, you work for free so you get good at coaching.
Okay. And once you're good at coaching, tell me what what is the rules then?
Okay. The first thing you do, the hardest thing to do, is not trying to plant your story in their story. That's the first danger that you have to fight because you're just a listener. You're just asking good questions. You're not trying to tell them to be anything. You want to find out what they want. That's what really shocked me. The first year was tough because I offered
Mhm.
all this advice. They didn't want advice, they wanted to be what they could be.
Well said. And that is true. So what I want to do is put you to the test.
Yes.
Let's do a scenario, a scene synopsis, sort of like in corporate world, where
Yes.
I'll give you my honest opinion about what I'm coming into your coaching services for. And I want to see how you actually, coach people. Are you willing to play that type of game?
I am.
Okay, great. So my name is Kimberly Cloud. I have so much problems with getting over the hurdle of getting into the Ks, the 5K or 500K. And I wanted to know with me seeing that, well, not seeing Damon John, but talking to Damon John, talking to people like Will Roberts, talking to famous people, what is hurting me right now?
Well, let me ask you a question. What
Go
makes
ahead.
you be in that category? Why is that category the part that's important?
Because I feel like residual income is something that is highly important, recognized, once achieved, and no one can take it away from you if you know how to play it smart, like Monopoly.
So, one thing I like to ask is the lottery ticket question.
Mhm.
You have to do something for 5 hours, 20 hours a week, but you don't need the money. What would you do?
Wow. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Kimberly Cloud Show. I'm your host, Me, I would do that.
Yes, that's the important part. We take other people's labels and other people's demands and other people's beliefs, and they get shoehorned in what success is for us, and it's not real because it's not us.
Yeah. So how did you learn your technique?
Well, one, the course ICF, International Federation of Coaches, or International Coaching Federation, is
Mhm.
a fairly distinct script. If somebody is an ICF coach anywhere in the world, there's things they have to do and say and be, um, and they get accredited by coaches to judge their coaching. So if you survive and you get past, and by the way, 55 isn't a pass in that world, 80 is a pass.
Okay, tell me about an instance where someone was so like resistant towards you because of your strategy.
Yes,
That you have those resistors, those
yes.
outlying resistors.
I can tell you two reasons. Somebody else made them come. Their spouse made them come, or the boss made them come. Either of those, we're fighting a losing battle until we get to what they want. Not their spouse, not their boss, not their kids, but what they want.
Hmm. And once you got to the key, the meat and potatoes of what they wanted, then did they find out that what they were doing, was kind of selfish in a way by not wanting to hear what the spouse have to say or not trying to come into a conclusion with you? Like,
Wow, you ask tough questions. The first thing is I try to get them past shoulds. I should lose weight. I should work harder. I should get to the office earlier. The shoulds are always from outside. It's called an external locus of control. And if you're living in shoulds, you're a burnout waiting to happen. So when you want to, you do, or you try until you do. But the neat news is we're all selfish. The key is how do we get along? We get along by being all we can be so that we're helping others get what they want. Zig Ziglar said it best. I get all my needs met by helping other people meet their needs. It's 40 years old, that saying, and it's still true.
well said. And we were talking about this like before the show, how you feel like recapping is
Yes,
very important. Tell me about
yes.
that.
Well, interesting enough, I learned how doing it well by doing it badly. They think they want advice, and then you offer them advice, and it just sits on, oh, yeah, that'd be a good idea. And you call them back in 2 weeks and they haven't done it. And the reason they haven't done it is it didn't come out of their mouth. They never owned it. If it didn't come out of their mouth, they don't own it, regardless of how well meaning it is or how obvious it is to you, the coach. They have to put it in their mouth is important.
Yes. It's like you give them a code and they have to recap themselves that code and internalize that to where they want to be. So
Correct.
where you are and where you think you are closer. So that is what you're trying to show your clients, where they are is here and where they want to be is here and it's closer. How do you feel about that statement?
That's pretty accurate. The key is making the action statements little bits. If you can't do something about it in 2 weeks, you're never going to do anything about it. You're going to be a concert pianist or a ballerina, but nothing's going to change. So if you can't do something about this goal or this wish or this dream in the next 2 weeks, it is exactly that. It's a wish, not a goal.
Give me an example of how you set goals in your life and you have challenges you go through and how you place them in categorize them.
Yes. The first thing is maybe it's under a beautiful tree on a summer's day, and you've got, a big sheet of paper that's this big by this big, and you just doodle. And you talk about where would I like to be in 5 years? And you don't judge at this point. You just put it all out, whether it's, own a yacht, become a brilliant author, whatever. And then you look at that 5-year plan, and then you close that after an hour and a half, 2 hours. And then you go back, well, okay, if I wanted to get there in 5 years, how would I get there in 1 year? How far could I get in 1 year so I know I was well on my way? And then you write down 1 year goals and plans and action statements. And then you go back 2 days later and said, okay, a year's a long time. It's forever. Let's talk a season, 13 weeks, 90 days. What do I have to do this season to make this year's goals work? And by the way, months are meaningless. We don't design months in our mind. There's seasons and there's days. We know how to get through the 24 hours, and we know how to get through a season, whether it's spring, summer, fall. Our wiring knows what a season is. But then you say, what do I want of this season? And then the next step is, without a date book or without a calendar or without a laptop, you know what you want out of this week. You can plan a week in advance. You can't plan a month in advance, not without paper and pen, but you know usually what you want in a week. And then you fill that week in things that get you closer to that goal. If you can fill 13 weeks of days that have been fulfilling, and yes, you need the odd day off, and you need the odd lapsed day to rebuild and heal, but if you can make 13 weeks happen 4 times, you've got a great year. And if you can do that 5 times, you've got a great 5 years. And then people are asking you how you did it. And then you tell them about your yacht.
How does the Guru Wayne do, what does the Guru Wayne do to create a more, what kind of question? Okay, for instance, how do you solidify your daily life chores? What do you do to reach self-actualization?
Man, those are good words. The first thing you have to do is put on a separate hat. And that is your employee hat and your boss hat. And then you have the boss conversation with yourself and decide, well, what 2 or 3 things, if I did today, Brian Tracy talks about eating the frog. What can you get out of the way so the rest of the day is bonus? Most of us get involved in busy work so we don't face the big tasks that we're trying to avoid, and then we never get to them, and we wonder, the week goes by and we don't know why. Well, what we've done is we've organized our database, we've made wonderful spreadsheets, but we haven't done anything. And then looking on a Monday morning or a Sunday night, what do I want out of this week coming to view it as a success? And then make sure you get there. However you find out you have to get there. And by the way, this preacher needs the sermon too. Okay, I can fail in this too. And that's why coaches need coaches. I have coaches I go to.
Okay. How do Mr. Pratt face his challenges? Do coaching with collaboration, coaching with other coaches?
Yes. Well, the first thing you would decide, is it just a straight, I'll give you an hour, you give me an hour? Or is it, hey, what are you working on that I could help you with? You have to decide how that works. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
But the bottom line is, The people you're working with have to have a sense that what you're trying to accomplish is valuable in your life and in their life. Because we all want to be seen as helpful. We all want to be seen as builders. The Jewish community calls them mensches, good people. Okay. And that is why, um, even in organizations like AA, we make sure that we hold people accountable to our sponsors. We don't let them just constantly slide, and we don't, if we're the one calling to the sponsor, we won't lie to them because they know they're being lied to and they won't meet you anymore. That's the key. A truth and honesty. It doesn't have to be mean. It doesn't have to be judgmental, but it has to be real. It has to be honest.
So what you're saying to me is that some people, through the end of what you just said, some people actually lie through coaching.
Yep.
They'll pay you to lie to you just to feel fulfilled.
Sadly enough, and sometimes, now normally that's why you get to not take every client. Sometimes you know the client's lying to you because they're lying to themselves. Now here's the weird thing.
Sounds about right.
Yes, most people have trained themselves a story they'd like to believe that they really know isn't true. And by calling it BS, they get honest with you. And when you do it nicely, you do it graciously, but you don't let them lie to them. They think they're lying to you, they're not. They're lying to themselves, not you. And then if they continue at it, you thank them. You maybe give them a couple of referrals. You maybe even send them a nice Christmas gift, but you fire them.
Well said. Tell me an instance, you know where I'm going, where you had to possibly fire somebody because they were being, um, I've asked you that, but in this sense, like being too resistant to the point they're just there to basically annoy you. They're paying you to annoy you.
Well, that is interesting. As I said, the first thing you have to make sure is whoever is paying for the coaching is getting the value from the coaching. If your employer sent you because you've been a bad little boy or girl, it's going to go badly. And then so you say, you know what? I get paid either way. But the bottom line is you got to hold them accountable over a period of, did you do it? Did you do it? Why not? Now, sometimes there are circumstances like fires and floods. Like if your house burned down, you didn't make the appointment. But if the house burns down the next week as well, well, then you have a problem.
Okay. And where do you see yourself going in the future with this coaching?
Well, what I want is to have this in every airport in North America so that for $30, they can do some self coaching, get involved in the community, maybe even become coaches and change the world.
I think that coaching is an outlet to collaboration and engagement and like stuff that opens other people's minds. What are your
Yes,
thoughts on that?
well, that's exactly right. Now, I am a verbal processor.
Mhm.
People process different ways. Even when I'm talking to myself, I'm processing. My wife thinks it's a mental illness, but that's another story. But the bottom line is, so if you need to talk it out, then talk it out. Don't leave it in your mind. Either write it down or talk it out, because it's if it stays in your head, it's meaningless. It's clutter. One thing I say is that if you prioritizing is what you do. If you tell people you need $20,000 worth of sales this month, and you have to get your dry cleaning by 6, and you don't rank them in any order, you end up without the sales and without the dry cleaning.
Yeah, and that's a double whammy. That's like, no. I'll admit, I don't want to get into what happens between you and Miss Lady. I just give you my opinion. I talk to myself. And
Okay.
I've
Yep.
gotten this far. Like I spent like 10,000 to get here, and it's like me talking to myself and writing it down got me here. So
Yep.
I'm not that crazy. So I think it's healthy. It's this the unknown. It's the unknown.
There's something else. Our mind processes negativity more than it processes positivity. So you have to celebrate the wins. I've actually, when I was cold calling, I wouldn't eat a jelly bean until I made 5 calls.
I
And if
like
you've
that.
ever had jelly bellies, they were very expensive. So you made the calls, you have the jelly bean, you do the little dance, the 30-second dance, and then you make the next 5. So you have to have wins that you're celebrating.
Yeah, and tell me more about, give me an excerpt from your book. We're almost about to close. So give me an excerpt about from a specific chapter of your book and tell me what it meant to you.
Okay. Well, the neat thing is, I am actually a hero in my story. It's called the
Cool.
business fable. So we imagine coaching like we're in a coffee shop, and then we're the people doing the coaching in the coffee shop. And then we invent characters to get the coaching. So it becomes very, and not just another boring self help book.
That
And
is deep. You invented the characters to get the coaching.
yes,
That meant you had to think about what the character, each and every character, what was in their mind at the certain time. That's
yes,
pretty cool.
thank you. My partner helped write that part. He was very inspired by the 1 Minute Manager and Who Moved My Cheese. But the bottom, but the bottom line is, you can spend 2 hours reading my book like it was a novel, and never take anything away from the coaching until you reread it a month later and go, oh, wait, there's chapter questions at the end. Maybe I'll do those. But yes, so one thing that I have that I'm pretty excited about is, if you know you could not fail, if you absolutely knew you could not fail, what would you try? And I don't claim to own that. I think I heard it once first by Brian Tracy. But the bottom line is, if you knew you could succeed, what would you try? And then try that. And also, there is no failure. There's winning and learning. So as long as you keep moving forward, you're learning. As long as you don't keep doing the same stupid things, then you're learning and you're winning.
Do you do sessions virtually? Do you do sessions like independently, coaching in classrooms or coaching in groups? How do you coach?
Well, one thing that we're trying to do right now is basically do book learning, where they buy the book and then we walk them through the book. But there's no question, thanks to the pandemic, we all went online. So all of a sudden we were Zooming instead of going to boardrooms, and then some got very good at Zooming. Like, I didn't actually know, I have a partner in another podcasting organization. I didn't actually know what his back looked like for 2 years, thanks to the. So yes, and then many coaches, especially those of us 60 or older, really love the phone. Zoom, we get too worried about the theatrics. So give me a phone so I can listen to their tone and hear what they're saying and not saying, and I'll take notes. And I really, really like the phone.
What is the tradition with Canadians, real quick before we close? What, like cooking, food, do they believe in letting women first? Do they have a lot of political conflict? What is it?
The neat thing is, Canadians are just Americans who say sorry a lot. Culturally, we're very, our media is all American. Okay.
Cool.
So the differences are there, but they're subtle. And we tend to use irony more. We are probably more willing to hear you out before we decide, and then we may decide wrongly, but we at least heard you out. But very, very affected by the North American culture. So you might have poutine or you might be better at hockey, but basically our culture is North American.
Is there anything you would like to share about why you love Canada?
Well, yes. One, that because I'm here, I can't be deported.
I didn't know you was gonna say that. I
There you
didn't know.
go. So yes, actually, this weird political situation we've gone through, we've really started to understand Canadians more than we ever did. So yeah, basically, it's often cold,
Yeah.
and I'll tell you, we don't have the entrepreneur mindset that the Americans have in their very DNA. Canadians tend to be employees. Some of them went off on their own, but at the end of the day, they think like employees. That's very Canadian.
I have to say the people I met from Canada, I have to admit they were like up here. They were like 2 million, $3 million makers, and I give it to Canada, but I never came across nobody like that. But I have actually, yeah. So it was 50-50 in the bunch that I had, but I still hold them all near and dear, whether they're employees or big time CEOs of their own company.
Yep.
Thank you so much. Stay on the line. Wait, how can the people reach you if they want to do coaching by Wayne Pratt?
The best way is my name, waynepratt.ca, www.waynepratt.ca, WAYNE PRATT.ca. And if you want to find my book, it's on Amazon, Freshly Brewed Coaching. But the first meeting with me has no cost, and we're not trying to tell you a vacuum cleaner or a timeshare. If you don't want to be here, we don't want you. So yeah, waynepratt.ca.
Thank you so much. Well said, Mr. Pratt. Stay on the line.
It was
Thank
a
you
privilege,
guys.
Kimberly. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Stay on the line. Thank you guys for joining my show today. Take care, be safe, and I'll see you guys in a bit.